All right, YouTube, Repo Man 64 out here in the secret broadcast cave. Where are we at right now on the timeline? I'm going to go over a few things. I received a comment, good comment, and then somebody else commented on that comment, not so kind. But I'll show it to you. I blotted out their names to protect the innocent and not so innocent. And we'll go over why, once again, I don't use the moon to set up the beginning of a month, the beginning of a week, the beginning of anything, uh, simply because it's not in alignment anymore. I believe pre-flood or pre-Joshua's long day that the moon was in perfect sync. I think it went around the earth at 364 days. And I'm going to show you a verse that they point out, and I'm going to talk about it. And we'll get into that right now. All right. This is the comment. Nice comment. Just a simple question. It does there's no issue, obviously, with a simple question. Hello, Repo Man. I just have a question. If everything is static on the calendar, then what does the verse below mean? This is Psalms 104:19. Don't think before I created this timeline that I didn't consider these types of verses. I did, and I had to reconcile them in order for it to actually work on a static timeline. He appointed the moon for seasons. The sun knoweth its going down. And when they look up seasons, 4150, it's moed, appointed time, meeting. This is a date. This is a blood moon. This is an eclipse. This is speaking of warnings, I believe, to Israel. I don't think the blood moon has anything to do with us. Now, obviously, and of course, Israel will say the blood moon that they see will happen on the 15th of the month. They believe that the sliver moon is the first and the full moon is the 15th. Plain and simple. You can't build a timeline on that, though. It just won't work because the moon, now, as we see it, goes around every 354 days, does not sync up with 364. 364 is easily explained because of Joshua's long day. And was it Ezekiel, I think, that wanted a sign, and he moved the sundial by 10 degrees. Explaining what that was explaining was a solar day. What I look at is a stellar day. The Earth's fulcrum point pointing at a distant star called Ursa Minor, spinning 364 times in relationship to Ursa Minor and returning back to its original position exactly 364 spins later around the sun. And in the meantime, as the Earth does this 364 spins in relationship to Ursa Minor, returning back to its original place, the moon goes around 354 times, meaning that each year the moon will fall short by 10 days. There is a warning in Enoch, the book of Enoch, that and the Jubilees, as a matter of fact, that viewing the moon will cause them to be 10 days off, 10 days short. So this verse does not tell me that I need to start the year, the month, or the day on anything to do with the moon. It just tells me that it's appointed for seasons. And again, seasons is looked up. It's moed. It's appointed time. It's a meeting, meaning as a warning. If the Jews see a blood moon, something's on its way to affect them. This is not for the Christian or the Gentile. This is strictly for the Jew, I believe. So then I go in and make sure, of course, what the Bible says. And I went into Strong's Concordance, and the moon in view here is 3394. That means Yarich. That means that it is actually referencing the moon. If it had a different number here and it was Chodesh, it would have had nothing to do with the moon. But it says 3394, which is Yarich. So you can go in and look up the numbers for moon and the numbers for month. And even though they sound similar in English, they don't sound at all similar in Spanish. Moon is luna. Month is mes. It's completely different. So that cute little phrase everybody says, and moon, it just does not apply in other languages. And of course, for luna is short for lunatic in Spanish. So you'd be a lunatic to follow the moon. I'm going to prove it. Now, it's not important for anyone to know this stuff. As a matter of fact, I repeat this over and over again, and people make comments like this, which is absolutely insane. This is a response to that person's comment asking me the question about Psalms. It means the moon is to be used to calculate time. Is that what it said? No. So he's made his first mistake. Just like in Genesis 1:14. That's the next screen. I'll show you what Genesis 1:14 says. Then he goes on to do his little stab, his little insult. Mike can't see it, though. He places the book of Enoch and its 364-day year above the 66 books of the canonical Bible. Now, this is a lie. You have just lied in a comment in here straight out. That is absolutely not true. Every date that I have on my static timeline comes directly out of the Bible. And each date that is in the Bible weaves like a web. The 11 dates that we get out of Noah and the flood, the 150 days after the flood began being Nisan 14, when you count it out exactly like you're supposed to, Nisan 1 through Nisan 30, and so forth, 30, 30, 31, just like Enoch says. But if Enoch were wrong, the numbers wouldn't line up perfectly, and yet they do. So when I say, well, the head of the year is Nisan 1, and the cross is Nisan 14, the flood happened on Heshvan 17, and 150 days later, it lands on Nisan 14. You have to ask yourself, is that biblical or is that in Enoch? And the answer is it's biblical. I used the Bible to get to all these dates. Enoch and his 364-day year above the 66 books of the canonical Bible. So he lied. That's simply not true. All the dates, again, are on there are from the Bible. He says over and over again that the moon is only for signs, moeds, appointed times. You just saw the from her. You just saw what it is for, and it is for signs, appointed times, and seasons. It is not for months, days, years. Nowhere does it say that. I challenge anyone to find in the Bible where it says it's for days, months, and years. Despite verses like this one, that say the contrary. So here's my response. And I tried to keep it as kind as possible. I don't want to be salty or angry. Allow the mocker to mock, and keep the response lighthearted. I said, I have tried to build a calendar using the moon, but each year it falls 10 days too short. I do use a static timeline only because I can't find a single dated verse that calculates using the moon, but rather this static timeline. I can't find a single verse in the Bible that contradicts the numerical patterns that come out in the Bible. They all line up perfectly. Like I said, if 150 days after the flood did not land on Nisan 14, I would never have made this timeline, but it does. It lands perfectly, meaning there are 364 days, not 360, not 354, not 365 and a quarter. The Bible is viewing a 364-day calendar. The Bible, not Enoch. Enoch confirms. Enoch is a good historical book, but the Bible confirms this. How does one reconcile a verse like this, like hers in Psalms? How do you reconcile that? And still build a timeline that actually makes symmetrical sense. We see many verses saying you must keep the law. That's what the Bible says. You better keep the law. And these people, they will yell at you until they're blue in the face. They are not calm. They are not patient. They are not acting like Christians whatsoever. They are very angry people, and they will chew you out. You can't eat pork. You must worship on the Sabbath. Irony, the irony part of that is that they don't know when the Sabbath actually is. I do. It lands on a static timeline. It does not land every Saturday. Anybody believing that you add a day each year and the Saturday falls differently on a different day, you see, Jesus went to the cross. Here's a fact on Nisan 14 on a Wednesday. How does that happen on a 365-day calendar when Wednesday will not fall on Nisan 14 every single year? You can't do it. A static timeline is the only way you can do that. We see many verses saying you must keep the law, but keeping the law places you under the law. As soon as you say you can't do this, you can't do this, you must do this, you must do that, you place yourself under the law. I don't care if you're trying to obey one of the 613 Noahide laws or 613 laws in Leviticus. Levitical laws is what I meant to say. Or you're trying to keep all of them. And the purpose that you're trying to keep them, is it for salvation? Is it to maintain salvation? Is it to keep in good graces with God? God will love you more if you do that. He doesn't love you. I know that is hard to hear. He loves his son, and you're covered by the blood of Jesus Christ. And now he absolutely cherishes you. You're everything to him because you're covered by the blood, that sacrifice that Jesus made on the cross for all of us. And all we have to do is accept that fact, know that fact. Take that cup and drink from it. Yet everyone, not everyone, many will tell you, not a lot on these channels, but sometimes I get comments. But these videos that we're placing, they will not be deleted after the rapture. When the rapture occurs, there will be a massive CME knocking the power out, probably for 3 days. When it comes back online, I believe that that AI will be back to its infancy. It's going to be knocked out. It's going to be wiped out. It's going to have to start all over again. It'll be quick. They already have the infrastructure set in place. They've been building it everywhere, and they're trying to hide it and separate it from the internet, thinking that's going to, the internet must be what knocks it out. Must be a virus. No, it was the rapture that knocked it out, and it is going to happen worldwide. And they're going to bring this thing back online, and all this information will be here. They might try to find it and get rid of it. It'll be hard to find mine and get rid of because I don't have a name like the Last Watchman or the Watchman or Watchman on the Wall or Watchman. All these Watchmans, these types of names I have. Repo Man 64. I thought about it long and hard, and this is what came to my mind because I used to be a repo man. I used to repossess, and I said, you know what? One day somebody's going to make a comment on here and call me out on what I used to do. Somebody's going to recognize me, and they're going to call me out and say what I used to do, and it might be a point of contention for some people. So therefore, let me just go ahead and put it out there, own it, name myself Repo Man 64, and I don't think AI will find it by virtue of my name. So I go on to say that we live under grace, and that's where we live. We do not live under the law. We live under no part of the law. We are not required to keep any part of the law. After we are saved, we do have a desire to do certain things. I quit drinking. Did it save me? No. Does it continue to save me? No. Is God going to give me a trophy when I get to heaven because I quit drinking alcohol years and years ago? No. I never had a problem with alcohol before, but I just decided one day, you know what? If Jesus can wait 2,000 years to drink some wine with me, I can wait until I get to heaven to drink with him. So I did that. Nothing, no pat on the back, nothing special about that. If you drink beer tonight, go enjoy your beer. I'm not saying anything about that. What I'm saying is that you have this new desire to please God because of what he did for you, not because of anything other than the new heart that exists inside of you. The Holy Spirit lives within you. The Holy Spirit is beginning to change you. And so that's what under grace means. Will you stop eating pork? It's going to convict some of you that way. Don't tell everyone else they have to do it though, because now you turned it into a law. You took it out of grace and you turned it into a work. Just do it. When he says fast silently, fast quietly, that's what he means. He means go do your thing, but don't go. I'm not. How would you like it if I got in here and said I quit drinking alcohol years and years ago because Jesus? And I tell you this story, and you have this guilty feeling. I say now you should do it too because that's what the Bible says. Getting drunk. No, no, absolutely not. That's absolutely wrong in every sense of the word. If you drink beer every night or wine every night with your meal, go enjoy. I would never live in any kind of judgment against you because, quite frankly, I used to as well, but I don't anymore. But that's not me trying to live under the law. That's the grace that was given to me. And I said to myself, that's the fast that I want to do. It is a perpetual fast that I do perpetually. I haven't touched the stuff, period, in any form whatsoever in all these years. So what? It's between me and my Lord. It is something I want to do. You see what I'm saying? So don't get the two mixed up, which a lot of people do. I quit eating pork, therefore you must quit. What are you talking about? Just quit eating pork and stop talking about it. Stop forcing others. That's what that verse means. When you fast, don't show your face like, oh, I'm suffering because of this, and you should suffer with me. No, just do it. Just do it. You see what I'm saying? Just do it. But it's not any condemnation on anyone else who doesn't do it. Obey in your way. Because once you're saved, you are saved. Period. That's it. No takey backies. It's all over with. You're saved. I believe pre-flood, the moon was in perfect sequence. It was either pre-flood or pre-Joshua's long day, one or the other. I don't know which. So when the sun went down, the moon came up. You know what I saw yesterday? I saw the moon in broad daylight, three-quarter moon in broad day. I think it was three-quarter moon in broad daylight up in the sky. I thought that the sun knew when the moon went down, the sun came up. Did the sun make a mistake? Did the sun not notice that the moon was high in the sky and hadn't gone down yet? No, it used to be that way, but not anymore. How do I count that moon that's in the middle of the sky while the sun is up? I can see it. It's right there. I can see it. Go out tomorrow about 8, 9 o'clock after the sun comes up. You're going to see the moon. So when the sun went down, the moon came up. But we don't see that today. Some parts of the year, the moon is in the sky during the day. This verse says different. How do I not use the moon? Logic. That's why I don't use the moon, because the moon is out of sorts. It's not in time anymore. The earth never budged. The day of equal parts never moved. It has always been on Adar 31, Nisan 1. It has always been a day where there are 12 hours in the day and 12 hours at night. It is not the day the sun crosses the equator, because that makes no sense to most of the planet unless you're on the equator. The sun, you can go look it up in time of day, will have 12 hours a day and 12 hours at night on that day. So we went to look at this gentleman's verse that he points out. He points this verse out, Genesis 1:14. And God said, let there be lights in the firmament of heaven to divide the day from the night, and let them be for signs and for seasons and for days and for years. What are these lights in the firmament? What are they? The sun has and the moon have not been placed yet. They have not been put in sequence yet. What did he put in sequence here? What is this? I think this is speaking about the constellations. I think this is speaking about Ursa Minor. This is how you judge the years every year. The sun moves, it processes through the constellations every 2,160 days. In other words, every 2,000 years or every 2 millennium, it moves by 30 days. It tells a story. It tells the story of Gemini to Taurus um, to what is the Lamb of God, uh, and then it talks about Pisces, shows Pisces. It moves through the constellations. And finally, for the last 1,000 years, the sun will process through the water that's being poured out by the water bearer Aquarius. Aries was the constellation I was searching for. It tells a perfect story. Can the sun be used to know exactly when the head of the year is based on the backdrop? No, it moves. It processes every 2,000 years. It moves by 30 days. You can't calculate that. I know people that try. It won't calculate. You use the moon. No, it falls 10 days too short. What do you use? Well, you use our own Earth. It's the simplest thing in the world. 12 hours a day and 12 hours a night happen on March 16th. That's it. That's that simple. It never, ever, never, ever changes. You can go 600 years in the future in time and date, see that it is exactly the same. But the equinox moves around because the sun, in relationship to planet Earth's equator, moves by 12 hours or 6 hours, I think, every single year. It bounces around. But one thing that never budges is that equinox, ever. It never budges. You can go in time and date and look. Go to time and date, go down to sun and moon, click on it, click on what city you want to see, which I use Jerusalem, Israel, and then click on March and look at it this year, look at it 20 years from now, look at it 50 years from now, 100 years from now, 600 years from now. It will always be the day of equal parts on March 16th, always. So we keep reading, and let them be for lights in the firmament of heaven to give light upon the earth. And it was so. Everybody thinks the sun has just been created, but it wasn't. When you're standing here at nighttime, you can see all those stars. You can see them all. You know it's nighttime. You can see the stars. But then now he creates something more. Whatever these are, we can debate whether or not that is the constellations or just stars. I think it's the constellations because of a verse a little bit further down. But what these do is they set up the seasons, the days, the years, and they are for signs. That's why I think it's the constellations, because they're for signs. And God made two great lights, the greater light to rule the day, the sun. Wait a minute. What did he create back here if he's doing this down here? And the greater light to rule the day, and the lesser light to rule the night, the moon. And he made the stars also. Well, I thought these were stars. No, these up here are the constellations. That's why I think these are the constellations, because after that, he makes a bunch of stars that are just out there, billions of them that have nothing to do with our constellations. They're just out there, just billions and billions of stars. I think he made the constellations here, and the constellations are what give us, like I said, Ursa Minor tells us when we are. Signs, seasons, days, and years. Did you know that on March 16th every year, the 4-star algorithm in the is it the not Orion, it's Pegasus constellation, will skirt along the horizon, viewed from Israel on March the 16th, not the 15th. It'll be below the horizon. Not March the 17th. It'll be too far above. It'll skirt perfectly along the horizon on March 16th. So we have two witnesses. That's the two witnesses. On that day, March 16th, it will be equal day, equal 12 hours a day and 12 hours at night. And that night, the 4-star algorithm at 5:45 p.m., just as the sun is setting, just what is that? Just 6 hours after they witness the day of equal parts, the confirmation comes from the second witness that the 4-star algorithm will skirt along the horizon. It won't do that on the 17th or the 15th. It will do it on the 16th, though. Very interesting. 17th being, March 17th being, or Nisan 1, being the head of the year. And God made two great lights, the greater light to rule the day and the lesser light to rule the night. So to the gentleman that thinks I have just decided that the book of Enoch is good, Bible bad, don't make those kind of comments unless you know me. Stay in your lane. You don't know me. You're categorically wrong. All the dates that I have pulled out of the Bible fit perfectly onto the static timeline. And when you use a verse, make sure you studied it properly. Up here, he does create something that it is not the sun and the moon or even the random stars. He does that down here. So what did he set up? Seasons, days, years, signs. This verse, if it was written any other way, I would be stuck. But to date, nobody has ever brought me a verse that contradicts or goes directly against the static timeline. Nobody's found anything. And if you make the statement, it's the moon because the Bible says so, build it. Please build it. Build that timeline. Tell me where those 10 days go. Do they just disappear? Do we just add every 3 years, add a month, second month of Dar? That's not found in the Bible anywhere. That is not in the Bible anywhere. So, did you know on my static timeline, Purim, found in the Bible, mentioned in the Bible to be 13, 14, and 15, 15 being Purim, the day they celebrated, which just so happens to land on February the 28th on a static timeline. This type of stuff keeps happening. At this point, I'm just like, it doesn't even surprise me anymore. February 28th is Purim. 6 planets will align and drift together across the evening sky on Purim. But I thought Purim was on March the 3rd. I'm going to show you why Purim is not on March the 3rd. There is a blood moon on March the 3rd. It is not Purim. The Jews say that the 19th is the let me make sure I'm referencing this correctly. Yes, I am. Okay. The Jews say in their calendar, and remember, they crucified Jesus because they missed him. They didn't know who he was, and they killed Jesus Christ because they didn't believe he was the Messiah. He was not the kind of Messiah that they were waiting for. Jesus came in the wrong year that they were waiting for because they didn't understand that Jesus is the king of the Jubilee. They did not understand it. No, Jesus did not come in a Jubilee year. Jesus did not die in a Jubilee year. Jesus didn't go into the temple when he was 12 and a half in a Jubilee year. He didn't begin his ministry in a Jubilee year. But all of those things that he did fell perfectly within a Jubilee year. He came 7 years after they thought he should have, and he died on the cross 7 years before a Jubilee. It's absolutely beautiful, and I'll show you that in a moment. So let me make sure, I believe it's March 19th. Yeah, March 19th. They're calling March 19th as April the 1st. Look at the math. March 19th plus 14 days must be Passover. It must be Passover. But we already know that Purim must be 30 days because the Bible says Purim, they celebrate on the 15th or the 14th and the 15th. It goes back and forth, 13, 14, 15, but 14 is the center. When did Jesus go to the cross? Nisan 14. When did the Jews leave Israel? Nisan 15. All of it ties together with Purim, all of it. And it's supposed to be 30 days. What happened on the Nisan 13? Jesus told them to go and rent the upper room. They rented the upper room. He goes in the upper room, and that evening on the 14th, Jesus begins on the 13th, he begins the Passover, and it becomes the 14th as of sunset. And that night, he goes to the garden. They arrest him. They take him, and all of the stuff that transpired on the 14th up to him saying, it is finished on the cross. He says in John, it is finished. In Luke, he says, into thy hand I commend my spirit. And in Matthew and Mark, he's speaking for those left behind, saying, my God, why hast thou forsaken me? Ever wonder why those verses are different? That's why, because it is speaking dispensationally to different groups. That's why they see a red robe, a purple robe, and a brilliant white robe. It's the different groups that they belong to. That's why. It's not that John, Mark, and Matthew and Luke belong to different groups. They're expressing different groups. I believe they're all part of the bride after everything they went through and the faith that they endured. I believe they're all part of the bride. So 33. So I go in here. I go from March 19th, which is Nisan 14, and I add 33 days, and it lands on April the 2nd. When are they saying Passover is? March 31st. They're calling it on March 31st, but it's 33 days. So that's simply not possible. That is not possible. All right, let me go back to the timeline back here. Whoops. How far back do I have to go? I want to go to this really quick. Oh, I wrote on it. Hold on. Let me go in here and unwrite on it. I wonder what I wrote. What did I write? I'm not sure what I wrote on it. I can't see anyway. Hold on. What did I write on it? Oh, I see. Oh, okay. All right. Let me take that off of there. Let me revert it back to original. All right. This will clear up in a second. Oh, there it goes. That was quick. What I did was what I had on there was from creation to Jesus being born was a perfect 4,000 years. Perfect. And from the cross to the middle of the tribulation, when Jesus says in Hosea 6:2, after 2 days, I will revive them. And on the third day, I will raise them up. Everybody thinks it's a rapture verse. It is not a rapture verse. It is a verse to the Jew. So I wanted to redo this, and I probably will work on that later today, in that I want to go 4,000 years. I want to go 33.5 years to the cross from when Jesus was born to when he died on the cross. He was born on September 30th. He went to the cross on March 30th. And then I want to add the extra 6 months. I could do it on either side, 6 months for Exodus 12. That's what that was for. That's why God did that, because it's perfect 34 years between when Jesus was born and 6 months after the cross, also explaining that Jesus was born. I don't have it on. Jesus was born. What was it? No, that John leapt in the womb when he was 6 months in the womb. That's what those 6 months are for. And when you count from those 6 months, or 34 years in total, which would be September 30th, 30 AD, not 32, not 33. I think some are even going to 34 now to try to make a cookie cutter fit to, well, he said 6,000 years. I don't know. If you say that all of time is 7,000 years, but the millennium is 1,000, and this is a perfect 6,000 years, how much time are you giving to Satan? 0? Because it's not a perfect 7,000 years if you have to add in Satan's little season. No, it's not. There's 34 years here, and there's 22 years here. Now, a thought symmetrically. I don't know if this is accurate or not. I looked it up a little bit, but something very interesting plays out. When I see this 4,000 years, I see 7 and 7. When I see this 2,000 years to September, this actually 2,000 years should go, like I said, I need to move this 2,000 years to 6 months after the cross, and I need it to land on September the 30th, where it started, right around in here, to go to September 30th of 2026, and then we're going to count 7 years from that. Symmetrically, I noticed something, though. You know that channel Ministry Revealed? Alan, I've been on his programs. Man, it's been 6, 7 years ago. I was on his program, and they were talking about this 14 years. I don't agree with the 14 years any more than I agree with the 3.5 years. However, I did find some verses in the Bible that might indicate a 7-year cleanup period. I believe that all the seals, trumpets, and bowls will be poured out and done at the end of the 7 years. But there's not I don't see a dispensational shift there. We see a dispensational shift here from when Jesus was born to 6 months after the cross. We see a dispensational shift into grace. It takes 34 years for that dispensational shift. Then we go on 2,000 years and we come to September 30th. But we're going to be raptured before September 30th, perhaps 6 months. What is that? A dispensational shift. Those 6 months in between, that's what they're for. That's what the 33 and a half and the extra 6 months is for. We're about to be raptured before she travailed, before her pain came. But I think there's a 6 month dispensational shift, and I think the seals will be opened up within those 6 months. Then we go on for 7 years. 7 years. Do we go straight into the millennium? Stepping across all the dead bodies from this 7-year period of time? When do they go around? They get paid good money to go around and pick up all the dead bodies and bury them. And they have to beat all of their weapons into plowshares. When does that happen? That's when I began to question. This 1,000-year millennium might not start in 2033. Remember, we're a year off because I did straight math without the 0 year, but it's 2033. It might actually be 7 years of 7 years of tribulation and 7 years of cleanup. I don't know. I'm not saying it yet. I have more studying to do. And of course, I will find all my answers in the Bible and not in the book of Enoch. Millennium, 1,000 years. If I move it down by 7 years from 2033, it would be 2040. Is that right? 2030? Yeah, it'd be 2040 when the millennium begins. The millennium goes for 1,000 years to 3040, which would leave Satan 3040, which would leave Satan 15 years instead of 22. Then we have a dispensational shift after Satan rules for 15 years into the new heaven and the new earth. And then it's a Jubilee. Do the math. 50, 70, 56, 144. Now, it is all still fits within there. All I did was shift the millennium down 7 years. I don't know. I have to do some more studying. I need to put it on a timeline to make certain. Nothing says the millennium starts immediately and directly after the tribulation. But we do see verses that say, hey, they've got to clean this up, pick up all the dead bodies, clean the area up. They've got to, beat the plowshares. I'm sorry, the weapons into plowshares. They got to do all this stuff. We've noticed that dispensational shifts take time. I'm not in love with the idea of Satan having 22 years as opposed to 15 years, 14, 15 years. And then we have it ending. God throws him into the lake of fire. God wads up earth and heaven and all that, throws it away, and he makes a brand new earth and a brand new everything. And he does it. This is 144 times 49. Remember the mistake I made. This is not the Jubilee. This is 1 year later. I thought we were in the Jubilee all year. March 16th. We were not. I miscounted by a year because of that 0 year. I went back and counted it year for year and found out that the Jubilee actually begins on Nisan 1 in the year, what is it? 6027 being the year we're in. And as of March 17th, it'll be 6028. I had it all here. I just didn't put it together in my thick head. But 6028 will be the Jubilee. 7056 is the 49th year. The 50th year will be 7057. We'll have a new heaven. We'll have a 1 year dispensational shift, and we'll have a new heaven and a new earth. I think mentally, symmetrically, from what I can see, I don't have a problem with that understanding. I do have a problem with the 14-year tribulation. Sorry, Alan. Alan. He spells it Alain. Alan. I don't have a problem with the 14 years. I just don't see the seals and trumpets and bowls being opened up past the 7 years, because it is Daniel's 70th week. It is a week long, but I do see the possibility of a 7-year cleanup period, moving this millennium down by 7 years, putting a 7-year gap here, 7-year tribulation, 7-year tribulation right here, some shifting time in the middle, and then a 1,000-year millennium after the 7 years. Just move this down, and then 15 years for Satan to rule and reign. That's kind of where I'm leaning in. I'm gonna have to fix that on the timeline though. All right, where are we at? Here's where we are right now. A lot of people are quite interested in January the 8th. Very interested in January the 8th. It is interesting that John leapt. Is it January the 8th? February the 8th. I'm completely misspeaking here. I'm like, wait a minute, that's a while ago. February the 8th. Where are you at? Over here. February the 8th. A lot of people are very interested in it. Like I've said so many times, Amos 3:7 will be fulfilled. God will warn us, and everyone on the planet will see it, but we will know exactly what it was. I don't watch football, but tomorrow is the Super Bowl. I guess they have a Super Bowl every year, and so they're going to have a Super Bowl tomorrow. I personally, being somebody who doesn't watch football, I know I'm weird. I would rather rebuild an engine in a car than watch football. But me personally, I just don't see that a football game would be anything that God would use to warn anyone. Now, maybe something big happens on this day outside of that, like Damascus or earthquake or something, or maybe something happens during the game. I don't know. But I don't think most of the planet is watching. Am I wrong? Is most of the planet is probably not watching our Super Bowl? I don't know. Oh, hold on 1 second. Oh, hello, hello. Oh, there we go. Hello. Hey, I'm making a video. I know. What are you doing? Yep, I am. I'm right in the middle. You're live right now on video. She says hi. It's my daughter. It's her birthday. She's like, how old are you now? 30, 40? Oh, 25. She's 25. All right, cool. Cool, cool. Okay. All right, I will. But all right. I hope the audio didn't turn off. How would I know that? Let's see here. Audio. Yeah, I've got audio. Noise goes on. I think I have audio. Wouldn't that be embarrassing? Noise removal. Yeah, okay. It says I have audio. All right, let me go back to sharing. Anyway, let me move this up out of the way. There we go. Now, where was I? Okay, February the 8th, Super Bowl. If there's going to be a warning on this day, it's going to be a warning that the entire planet can see. It is also 7 days from a Chodesh. A Chodesh means new month. This is the last new month of the year. This is Adar 1. It is 11 months and 30 days after the head of the year. We have 30 more days, 31 more days to the end of the year. We're just now beginning the 12th month on February the 14th, which is interesting in and of itself. Valentine's Day. Most of the planet celebrates Valentine's Day. A lot of the planet does for various reasons, but a lot of the planet does. So this for me is a very high watch date, February the 14th. And then notice here that Moses dies at 120 years old on February the 20th, plus 22 hours, so pretty much February the 21st, just prior to them going over into the promised land. So that's very interesting that that lands there. And then Purim. Purim lands on February the 28th. It does not land on, what are they saying, March 3rd? Because mathematically from March, or is it, I think they said March 3rd. It is simply not 30 days to March 31st, which is when they say Passover is. It's 28 days, and Purim must fall 30 days prior. And this is exactly Adar 15. And if you count because of Adar 31, it would be Nisan 14, exactly 30 days after Purim would be Passover. Here we see coming on past Moses dying, Lazarus gets sick on March the 13th. Mary and Martha send out messengers to Jesus to say, hey, Lazarus is sick. It takes them 2 days to get to Jesus. I know that because Jesus sat still for 2 days, and it took him 2 days to get back to Lazarus. Remember, he sat still, and then it took them 2 days to walk back. For a total of 4 days, Lazarus was raised 4 days after Jesus admitted that he had died. His best friend just died, and then he sat down. Why did he sit down? He knew something that nobody else did. He was showing us something that we could figure out if we were paying attention. He was showing us the day Lazarus dies on March 16th. We go up here. To Rosh Hashanah. Jesus sits still on Rosh Hashanah, March 17th and March 18th. He sits still for 2 days. After 2 days, he raises Lazarus on the fourth day. That's how I know it takes him Nisan 3 and Nisan 4 to get to Lazarus to raise him. March 19th, March 20th. March 17th is Rosh Hashanah. You're speaking Hebrew when you say Rosh Hashanah. It means head of the year. Go read Exodus 12. This now is the head of your year. Speaking Hebrew, Rosh Hashanah, head of the year. This is the head of the year. It is not down here on trumpets. This is not the head of the year. This is the 7th month and the first day. That is not the head of the year. It changed. The Jews refused to do it. Some people refused to do it. But the Bible is explicitly clear that it will happen, that will move to the head of the year. And then he begins to build on that fact and says, on the 10th day of Nisan, you will take in a lamb, and you will keep him in for 4 days. And on the 14th day, you will sacrifice that lamb. And that's what we see. We see Jesus' triumphant entry on this day. We see 4 days later that 3 days later that Jesus tells him to go rent the upper room. And then that evening right here, his head is anointed. And in the morning, that evening, they take him. And then by 3 o'clock in the afternoon, he has died on the cross, given up the ghost on the cross on March 30th, which is Nisan 14. All right, let me keep going here. This is that verse, this sticky verse that people have been hanging on. I hung on to it for a while too. Don't think I didn't, because when I knew that Jesus died in 30 AD, this is the go-to verse. This was it right here. I was like, oh yeah, this is it. 2023, we're going to be raptured. 2030, he's going to return. But that's not what this verse says. That's why you don't just take a verse at face value. You got to read it for what it says. After 2 days, he will revive us. Who is he reviving? That is not the rapture. Revive is not a rapture. In the third day, he will raise us up. We're going to be revived. The dead in Christ are going to be revived here, walk around for 3 days, and then we're going to be raptured. But raised is not a rapture word. Now, this verse is speaking to the Jews. After 2 days, Jesus went to the cross in 30 AD. After 2 days will be 2030 AD. And in the third day, he will raise us up. 2033 is when the Jews will be risen up and we shall live in his sight. We're not living in Jesus' sight. We are ruling, reigning beside him. The Jews will live in his sight in the millennium. This is speaking to the Jew. That is who will live in his sight. Just to clarify. This is the other verse that they use. And again, like I said so many times, if you're taking this verse and blocking bookends on this thing and saying 6,000 years the rapture, 1,000 years the millennium, what are you going to do about Satan's little season? Where are you going to put it? Because if it has to end, Jesus isn't sharing 1 second of that 1,000 years with Satan. This doesn't say 985 years for Jesus to rule and reign, and then we're going to cut 15 years out of that, give it Satan, because we got to stick within this 7,000 years. No, he gets 1,000 years. Do the math. Just go back and count your Jubilees. If you count your Jubilees back, you're going to land in the year 4003. It has to land in that year because that's when Herod dies. The guy that sent out the soldiers to kill every baby 2 and under, that's when he died. He died. We say 4 BC. The books say 4 BC, but it's 3 BC because of the 0 year. So we can't read this verse and say, that's it, 6,000 years, 6 days of creation. While it's very close, there's a dispensational shift that people are ignoring, and you just can't. You're not going to be able to build a timeline based on that, since creation began in 4003 or 0, and 4,000 years later Jesus was born, or 3 BC. And then you count from the cross plus 6 months because of Exodus 12, that 6 month separation I just showed you. We know why he did it. It all lines up when he did it. That's why he moved it. So it all lines up. Because numerically, Jesus had to spend 33 and a half years. If not, Jesus would not have been the king of the Jubilee. 49 years. Perfect. Perfect. And 1,000 years, this is 1 day. We know we're going before. It is a pre-tribulational rapture. We are going before the tribulation begins. When we say the Lord's Prayer, Our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. That is speaking about the millennium, when the kingdom comes. Jesus is coming here to rule and reign. Give us this day our daily bread. Lead us not into temptation, the tribulation, but deliver us from evil. So the entire Lord's Prayer is speaking to 3 different groups. It's speaking first to the Jew in the millennium. It's speaking second to the tribulation saints, because they are going to go into tribulation. They are not praying to escape all these things. The Lord's Prayer is a prayer to escape all these things. The Lord's Prayer is the escape all these things is telling you to say the Lord's Prayer. When they said, what's the greatest prayer? How do we pray? Jesus tells them how to pray. That's how you pray right there. The Lord's Prayer. Our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses as we forgive those who trespass against us. Lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. Amen. So it's speaking to all 3 groups. The bride, we escape all those things. All right. The watch days. We are now, today's February the 7th. February the 8th is tomorrow, Super Bowl. I didn't circle it because, quite frankly, it's not a worldwide event in there. And we here, I believe, in the United States, kind of, and I think probably a lot of countries, people in a lot of countries do this, where they kind of centralize things around their own personal things that are going on. But it's actually going to be a worldwide event for every Christian on the planet. And there's Christians everywhere. There's a lot of people coming to Christ in China right now, a lot of people coming to Christ in Iran right now. It is growing. And who's doing it? Are we doing it? No, Jesus is doing it. He's coming to them in dreams and visions. It's said, the Bible said in the last days, that's what he will do. And that's exactly what he's doing. He never pulled punches. When Jesus said, I'm going to do something, he does it. And that's exactly what's happening right now. He is saving so many people over there in China. If China had a Super Bowl, would we all be like, gee, I wonder if the rapture will happen on China's Super Bowl? No, we would not. We would not. So I just don't think the eighth. Maybe something happens on the eighth. I don't know. I, I don't. I'm not going to say the rapture can't happen because it could happen at any time. I'm just saying I don't see the Super Bowl as having any effect on that personally. Then we have Valentine's Day, February the 14th, which just so happens to fall 14 days before Purim, which just so happens to fall um, 14 days. Is that 14 days? No. Oh, they're calling March the 3rd as being Purim. So there's a 84-hour gap between, and I think God's Land Under did this. Did you guys watch the last video from David the Watchman? He actually spent an hour on that one. He did very good. I really enjoyed it. Good video. Excuse me. But then 30 days to the very day after Purim. Purim's on the 28th. That evening is the first. 30 days later, Passover will fall on the 30th. They are stating that it's on the 31st, and they're stating that Purim is on the 3rd, but that's 1, 2, 3, that's 28 days. Purim must fall 30 days prior. So they're 2 days after and 1 day after here. So that's the moon. Why do I not follow the moon? That's why. That's why. They've broken their own rules, followed the moon, and they can't make it fit. They cannot make it fit. So they build a timeline that just is ridiculous. You build this timeline and you show it to me and you tell me that because we're going to follow the moon, that Purim falls on this day and that Passover falls on this day. I'm going to tell you, you just went against the Bible. You're not reading the Bible. You're following the Jews in their calendar, and that sliver moon from King Antiochus calendar, the moon worshiping people. And I'm going to tell you, this is not 30 days. You're not following the Bible. Follow the Bible. It has to be 30 days. 30 days. There is no date on my timeline that doesn't adhere to what the Bible says the distance has to be. It has to be. And if I found something that didn't, I had to study it and understand why. And so far, I have not been able to reconcile every single date in the Bible on this timeline. So far, I haven't been able to do it. So this is inaccurate. This is not following the Bible. This is following the Jews. This is following King Antiochus. This is follow the worshiping. This is the worshiping of the moon, which came out in 400 BC. The how do you call it? The Dead Sea Scrolls, and I forget. David talks about them all the time. I'm forgetting the name that they are called right off, but you know who I'm talking about. They in the Dead Sea Scrolls, they hid all those scrolls on purpose. They saw what was coming in 400 BC. They warned about it in the book of Jubilees and the book of Enoch that they're going to attempt to follow the moon and worship the moon, and they're going to do this. And this is why they don't know when Purim is. They don't know when Passover is. They are going to call a good day bad and a bad day good because of this. Jesus died on the cross at 3 o'clock in the afternoon on the 30th. April Fool's Day is the day that Satan realized, oops, I didn't kill God. Oh, God came down here in man form. He's in human form and he bleeds. I'll kill him. God will be dead. I didn't know it'd be this easy. I had no idea it'd be this easy. I'll kill God and then I'll take his place. Surprise, you fool. Jesus did that willingly, gave up the ghost on the cross and died for all of our sins. Now, all of these human beings that just believe on that fact will go to heaven. All of the human beings, a great multitude that ultimately believe on that fact in the tribulation, are going to heaven. Satan is furious. He's realized how he lost. He thought he beat God in the garden. He thought he beat God when he uh, did all that gene therapy and the Nephilim and all that, and God flooded the earth. He thought he could win when he was going to wipe out the genealogy, making it to Jesus. But that one person was on that ark. Those 8 people were on that ark. Noah was on that ark. He messed up again. Time and time again, God has outsmarted him. I don't think it's that difficult. I don't think it's that difficult at all. April Fool, you fool. You thought you were going to kill God. All you did was save everybody that you had your hands on. If this event did not happen, if this event did not take place, Passover did not take place, we were all destined for the lake of fire. We were all born going to the lake of fire. We were all offered a cup. Every single one of us, not some of us, not part of you. You were predestined. You weren't offered a cup. That sounds fair. No, you have to deny that cup, just like at the mountain. They were all sinners. They all created a golden calf. They had a golden calf. They were all should have been swallowed up, but they saw the question. They heard the question, and that question was, who will you follow today? Today, who will you follow? And 3,000 idiots decided, well, I'm going to follow that golden calf. Where were you when you went through that dry land across the water, under the water? Where were you? Didn't you see that? That wasn't enough for you? But it's not. It is not. It is not. I was cured of cancer. It's because I took this pill. No, it's because God decided you shouldn't have cancer. That's why. It's insane. So anyway, yeah, this is to the commenter that made that silly comment. If you want to build me a timeline showing me that Purim is on the 3rd, you'll have to, because you just said the moon is how you set all this up. That it's on the 3rd and then Passover is on the 31st. Build it. I want to see it, because I'm going to tell you right off the bat, this is not 30 days. This is 28. What you going to do? How are you going to fix that? It goes against the Bible that you just said I didn't use, and that I just use Enoch. So no, all my dates come out of the Bible. I showed you this before. The Jews say currently we're in 5786. The 210 lost years is when they were enslaved in Egypt. Comes to 5996. When we all saw this, we were like, I don't understand that. Let me take 3 years away from this and call it 5993. No, we can't start changing things to make it fit our narrative. You have to understand what you're looking at. 5996, when is Jesus coming back? When is Jesus going to first revive them and then return to the Mount of Olives, like he said? In 2030, he's going to revive them. And in 2033, he is going to live in their sight. That's the 34 years, 33 and a half for Jesus, a half a year for Exodus 12, the 34 years, 60, 30. It fits. It absolutely fits. That's the correct date that Jesus is coming back, or that he will revive them, and then he'll come back in 6033. All right. This people are trying to change, and this is what I see all the time. People are trying to change the year the decree went out. Well, maybe it wasn't 445, maybe it was 452 or 438, or maybe it was some other, and that's how we fix this, because it doesn't match. It doesn't match. Jesus came in 3 BC, 4 BC because of the 0 year. 434 is what you get. 62 times 7 is 434. And if you subtract it from when the decree came out, 445, it comes to a negative 11. They had thought Jesus was coming in negative 11. He's surrounded by sevens, just like 7 days before, 7 days after, 4,000 years, and 14 days from when Adam was created to when Jesus was born. He gave us a perfect picture of the 7 and 7. The same thing here. This is 7 years before. This is 7 years after. Remember, there were two different dates given, and you wonder why it was given like that. But there were two different ones given. One was 69 times 7. The other one was 62 times 7. They were 434 and 483. And if you take 483 from 445, it leaves you with 38. You take 7 years away from that and the 0.5, it comes to 30 and a half AD. It's absolutely perfect, exactly the way it was supposed to be understood. That's what the 62 and the 69 weeks, there's one more week left, 7 years, not 14, but there might be a 7-year cleanup. We'll get into that in a moment. When I did the math on the two different calculations, the 69 times 7 and the 62 times 7, it's 483 and 434. It is a perfect Jubilee. It is 49 years. The following year, the 50th year, would be the Jubilee. This is absolutely, I didn't even notice this at first, but any of you can figure this out. 69 times 7 is 483. The decree went out in 445, so you wind up with 11 BC and 38 AD, and it is a perfect 49 years. 62 times 7 is 434. The difference is 49. Jesus is the Jubilee. Jesus is going to rapture us right around the beginning of a Jubilee, if not before. Who ever heard of such a thing? Who's ever seen such things? Maybe we go before. The Jubilee will begin on March 17th, right here in the year 2026. It's actually 2025 because of the math, but 2026 is what we know. No, the Gregorian year doesn't change to 2026 on March 17th. It just does not do that. It doesn't do it because it's all fictitious. There's no such thing as a Gregorian year. There's no such thing as 2025. It is not 2025 years after Jesus went to the cross. They made a mistake, a huge mistake. But it still works. Notice how it still works. A negative 11, positive 38, 49, BC to 80, 49. Of course, we're going to use BC to 80 because it's what we understand, but we're in the year 6027. It will become the year 6028 on March 17th. I think Kevin, somebody said, maybe this was Brett from God's Down Under. I don't recall who sent me this. I hate it when I do that. It's been a couple of days since they sent it to me. But here, Nikola Tesla, is it Nikola Tesla, if you only knew the magnificence of the 369, then you would have the key to the universe. I have the key to the universe because I know what 369 means. It's all about Jesus. Right here, 369. That's why he sent that to me, because I spoke about this in one of my previous videos. When Jesus was in the womb for 1 week, 1 week after a woman gets pregnant, the egg drops and attaches to the uterine wall. 1 week. 1 week after she becomes pregnant on Christmas Day, she goes to see her cousin Elizabeth, who is pregnant with John the Baptist. John leaves in the womb. John the Baptist is 6 months in the womb. This is when he leaves. 3 months later, John the Baptist is born. And 9 months later, Jesus is born. 369, the key to the universe. The witness came prophesying of Jesus' arrival. Jesus came 6 months later. That's why the 6 months. That's why Exodus 12. If you deny Exodus 12 and refuse to move Rosh Hashanah to March, you are denying, in my opinion, this is just my opinion, you're denying Jesus himself. Because that's why he came to John leaping in the womb when John was 6 months in the womb. 369. That's the key to the universe. You're welcome. Apparently, this thing went off. I thought we'd see a lot more earthquake activity. There's another earthquake. Let me see what that says. They're all maintaining. They hit fives for a minute, but they've all been maintaining around fours. They're coming in every hour, hour and a half, 2 hours. Four and above. That's the only ones I look at. And there's a lot of them, but they seem to have slowed down. Apparently, they were waiting for this thing to be Earth facing, and then it might. This is Stefan Burns. He has a channel. He does a really good job. He's a geophysicist, much smarter than I on these things. My father was a meteorologist. I can kind of read the weather. I'm that guy that when the hurricane was barreling down on Florida, and my wife's like, "We got to go. Everybody's leaving." I'm like, "It's not going to hit us." Yes, it is. They said. I said, I don't care what they said. It is not going to hit us based on the wind patterns that I'm seeing from the west and from the south. This thing is going to go up and possibly hit North Carolina or New York. And that's exactly what they always do. There was only one that ever scared me. And I thought that I had made a mistake. But I didn't. It actually veered at the last moment. We got quite a bit of wind off of it, but it didn't hit us. So uh, as far as this stuff goes, I trust Stefan Burns on that. All right. Now, I find this ironic, another ironic thing. BC and AD, before Christ and Anno Domini, calendar system was invented by a 6th century monk named Dionysius in 525 AD. He created it to replace the pagan calendar. You see the irony? He did not create this to replace the pagan calendar. He created this to replace God's calendar of the actual date we were on. He attempted to explain BC and AD properly, but he failed miserably. He absolutely failed miserably because Jesus was supposed to be born in year 0 on his calculations. Later, they came back and said, no, it had to be 3 BC because King Herod died in 4 BC. The 0 year being he died the year that he sent the order out to kill all those children 2 and under. And he was supposed to be born 4,000 years after creation. So he made a mistake. And then you were supposed to begin counting at the cross or 6 months after because of Exodus 12. If he had done that, there would have been a 34-year gap or dispensational shift in there. And that would have been something to see. But he did not replace the pagan calendar. He created the pagan calendar. He made a calendar that makes no sense. Let's change the year over in January. Let's call this the year 525. You were wrong. It was if you'd taken away those 3 extra years, you'd have been 522. You made a mistake. But c'est la vie, we were able to figure it out. This is what I was talking about. I Googled it. But I've been catching this. I've been catching this in the Bible, and I put it in the back of my brain for a while to contemplate as I studied. It says, based on interpretations of Ezekiel 39, some biblical scholars suggest that a 7-year cleanup period may follow the tribulation. And I'm beginning to think that that's accurate. I'm beginning to think Satan's little season is not 22 years, but 15. And I'm beginning to think that the tribulation is 7 years long and that there will be a 7-year cleanup in a place or in a thing I will call a dispensational shift. You have 4,000 years to Jesus, dispensational shift of 34 years to the age of grace. Then we go on to the rapture happening before this Jubilee begins. Maybe a month. I don't know exactly how long before the first seal is opened, but then the first seal is open and that kicks off the 7 years. But we're going to be gone before that. We know that. 7 years goes by and we have another dispensational shift to lead us into the millennium, and that'll be the 7-year cleanup. That makes a lot of sense to me. I need to build a timeline representing exactly what I just said and see what it looks like. But that cuts Satan's time from 22 years down to 14 or 15. And then the earth being a dispensational shift as being the millennium again. I'm sorry, the Jubilee again in 7057 That'll be the 7056 being the 49th year, 7057 being the Jubilee as to being when God creates the new heaven and the new earth, and we will all live there perfectly happy after that. That being said, I found my new favorite channel. I'm not even kidding you. I don't know if this is AI, if they're using AI. I don't know how they would watch all of our videos. They're watching my videos. They're watching Rock Island books. They're summarizing is what the mystery of the rapture summarized. They summarized how do you say, a ministry revealed. Alan over there, they did an amazing job. I like CJ Lovick's 4900. That made a lot of sense when he came out with that video. This is mine, the 7057 that I was just talking about. The 7056 being the 49th year, the end of Satan's rule, him being cast into the lake of fire, and then 757 being the new heaven and the new earth. But my new favorite channel, I think they're using AI. There's no conceivable way they can go through hundreds and hundreds of videos that I've made and hundreds of videos that Alan has made and CJ Lubbock has made and be as streamlined as they are in explaining and not explaining inaccurately or incorrectly as to our understanding of what we're reading. And their ability to summarize everything that we've done in that short period of time, but they are doing an amazing job. It's called The Gospels Compared, and they only had 287 subscribers when I found them. I looked back; they've been making videos for a couple of years. I don't know if they just. I didn't look at. I didn't know. It says, and two more links. I guess they're putting links to ministry. I don't know if this is a link to Ministry Revealed, but at any rate, good channel. I like the way they summarize. They took a non-partisan, they took a clean view and just explained what I'm saying, explained what CJ Lovick's saying, explained what Alan is saying any um, without any of their own input. It was strictly this is what they're saying, and based on what we're seeing in the Bible, we can't discount what they're saying. And I liked what they did. I really liked how they were able to stay, you know how some channels get, well, he said this, he's not going to heaven, or he doesn't understand this like the other channel does. I'm not watching them anymore. I mean, seriously, some of us, each of us, like I've said before, have a lane to drive in. This is my lane. This is the timeline. If you want to debate me and discuss with me, I would be happy to, but I will not do it with somebody who's not studied on the timeline as much as I have. I would love to have a debate with Nick Vanderlyn. I would love to have a debate with what's his name? I'm gonna forget his name all of a sudden. The other guy that does the timelines like I do. But his channel, I don't remember his channel's name. I'm sorry. Terrible with names. He's a doctor, though. I would debate him all day long and on this subject. It would be a very interesting debate if we were both allowed to speak and express our opinion and viewpoints on why we think we are at where we are at. I've watched Nick Vanderlyn's understanding of the head of the year based on the most intricate math using the sun going over the equator and the amount of time and the day. And I'm just like, yeah, the average Joe, the average person out there right now could go to time and date, look up March 16th and see that's the day equalized. Nobody can figure out what you're saying with this sun going over the equator. You would have to be an astrologist to understand that. And I just don't think the Bible's written that way. I think it's as simple as salvation. I really do. But anyway, go subscribe to this channel. I really want to see their subscriber and go listen to all of their videos because I was just absolutely impressed at how they summarized, years and years of work that I've done down. You guys should be subscribed to Brother John over here at Watchmen for That Great Day. And he's had this brother on here, Ronnie, quite a bit. And I'll tell you what, these two are contagious. They're contagious. If you're not subscribed to Watchmen for That Great Day, please do so. Brother John is just a pure, loving soul. He's just honest. And when these two guys, Ronnie and him, get together, it's absolutely contagious. I laugh out loud when I'm listening to these two interact. They're two peas in a pod, and they're in each other's head. It's a beautiful thing to watch these two make their videos. And so, yeah, please go subscribe to him if you're not already. And then this guy right here sent me a comment. He wanted me to understand something that he was saying. And in a text or in an email, it's very difficult. I noticed that because when you make a comment, I will go in and see if you actually have a YouTube channel or if you're a bot. If you've been on YouTube for 7 years and you have 1 or 2 subscribers and every comment that I can see you've made is rude and not nice, I know you're a bot. You're not a real human being. No real human being would act that way. And if you're a real human being acting that way, you might want to question why you're on our channels and where your salvation is going to lie based on the type of person that you're acting like. So I think mostly that those are just bots to try to get us fired up to interact with them, just to see how we'll act. And I don't even entertain it. But I noticed he had a channel and he had quite a few subscribers, and he was trying to tell me that he had something to show me. I did go watch his video. He said he thought that I had made a mistake. I couldn't quite pull that out of what he was saying in his video, uh, but it was very interesting. His conclusion is Super Bowl because it's 77 years, 7 months, 7 weeks, and 7 days, I believe he said, to January the 8th, which is the Super Bowl. I thought it was very interesting, but he said it went against my timeline. And while I listened to him, I couldn't quite pull out what part was contradictory to the timeline, but it doesn't matter. He's a really nice guy. He sent me an email, and I wanted to promote his channel just because I told him, I said, look, we can talk back and forth and go nowhere, because that's how those things are. Number one, when you're texting, people either think you're not serious when you are, or you're rude when you're not. It's horrible. You can't see people's personalities in text. You don't know how you're being spoken to at all, so unless you're just downright rude and say, Mike doesn't look at the Bible at all. He only believes in Enoch. The Bible is garbage for him. Oh my goodness, what's wrong with you? Where did you even get that? We need that channel to summarize my video to see if I use the Bible or do I use the book of Enoch? And then shame on you for saying that. All right. So anyway, he made a good little video today. He hasn't made one in a while. And I just said, look, dude, we can't go back and forth on this. Please make a video. I just subscribed to you. I noticed that you have a channel, and please go make a video. And he did a really good video. I thought he was very articulate, did a really good video. I enjoyed it. So congratulations to him for putting that out there. That's awesome. Valentine's Day is celebrated in over 100 countries globally. This is why I would look at, personally, I'm not saying the rapture couldn't happen in the next 3 seconds. It might. But I'm saying that I don't think God's looking at our Super Bowl. But there are a couple of dates on the calendar that don't pop out. One of them is Valentine's Day. I mentioned in the earlier video that July 4th doesn't either. But then again, that's just an American thing. So why would it? But Valentine's Day is more of a planet thing, around the world planet thing. And so nothing lines up on it except for it's the last first of the month, or Chodesh, of the year, which happens on February the 14th. So it was kind of interesting. That is kind of a high watch day for me right here. Of course, my highest is right now. My highest is Purim. Purim is very high, February the 28th. And then the blood moon warning to Israel that something horrible is coming. And then, of course, I really firmly believe we have to be out of here before or on March 16th, because it is the date of the it's the last day of the 49th year, and on March 17th begins the Jubilee. Begins the Jubilee on that date. So that's why I'm watching that, and we're back to that. All right. YouTube, RepoMan64. Like, comment, share, and subscribe. Just we're right here at the very end, and I'm hoping that I know all the work that we've done on these videos are going to make it into the tribulation for the tribulation saints. I think this is the stored up grain that's been going on. So anyway, it's 3:30. I think I've said everything. We will be right back out here. Something major happens. That Amos 3:7 event happens. We shall see. All right. We will chat with you all again later.